Boy, was I glad that I didn't go to that game. Hawks lose here in Colorado 2-0 to the Colorado Avalanche. And this is a result that we kind of expected, but not necessarily a 2-0 loss. I was honestly expecting it to be worse, but honestly, the goaltending in this game was pretty good. I mean, really, Francouz, the starter tonight for the Avalanche, who ended up getting a shutout against Fleury. Fleury had his fair share of good saves, but yeah, they ended up losing. Yeah, the first half of this game, honestly, was pretty interesting to see both Francouz and Fleury make really nice saves throughout. And honestly, I didn't know who was going to score first because both of them were looking really good. Fleury was looking very nice, making some really good saves. Francouz was making some good saves as well. But it took a power play for the Avs to break the ice. And naturally, it starts with Cale Makar as he has it on the power play in the back on the blue line, just waiting, and he gives it to McKinnon, who just touches it right to Kadri, who just fires it on Fleury. And he probably gets about like 75% of this puck. Doesn't get all of it, and it's going to have enough momentum to get just enough past the line to put the Avs on the board. And Nazem Kadri has the Avs up 1-0 going into the third period, as this first half was unbelievable in terms of goaltending. About halfway through the third period, Devon Taves is fighting with Lafferty, and he fights with him long enough for Landeskog to pick up the puck, and he finds an open Mikko Rantanen, who just, I don't know what the defense is doing. All eyes are on Landeskog. They don't realize Rantanen's behind him. Rantanen grabs it, and Fleury, this was probably his worst play of the night, as he overcommitted, thinking that Rantanen was going to shoot right there, but he ends up holding on the puck for longer than Fleury expects, as he kind of just sends it all forward on his chest, lifts up the glove to try and stop it, but it's futile because Rantanen holds onto it and he's got so much more room and buries the puck. And yeah, so the Avs kill the clock for the next 10 minutes or 10 or so minutes. And in the game, shutting out the Hawks 2-0. And that is kind of hard for the Hawks because they go from having a lead against the Wild with about 7 minutes to go, surrendering an empty net goal, and then losing in overtime to then getting shut out against the Avalanche. But we all expected the Hawks to lose. The Avs, with this win, now have won 16 straight home games. That's just mind-boggling. That is a massive home winning streak. That's 32 points in their last 16 home games. That is everything that you want as a fan of a team, regardless of who it is. You want that kind of win streak. Colorado has also now put up points in the standings for 13 straight games. That's also a massive point streak that the Avs just, I don't know, they looked all right to start the season. If the Hawks had maybe one of these last 3 games not here in January and maybe in November, I think they may have had a chance to win. But I mean, I don't know what it has been, but ever since Christmas break, the Avs have they just can't lose. They cannot lose a hockey game. It's baffling, honestly, because they've risen to literally the top of the standings. They've from probably about the 12, 13 kind of outside of the top 10 looking in, but still in a playoff spot, to just shooting up to the top 5, where everyone expected them to be this year at least. And the Hawks just can't win. This is why I was really disappointed when they couldn't beat Seattle on the road, because I knew the next 3 games were going to be rough. They had Minnesota twice and the Avs, and then they have the Avs again after they go and play the Red Wings. So it's those 2 points, that extra point against Seattle looks really nice right now. That extra point against Minnesota looks really nice. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. There are so many of these games where I'm just like, yeah, that those 2 points would have looked really nice, or that extra point would have looked really nice. Because this is the difference between the Avs and the Hawks. The Avs are finding ways to win in every single way. The Avalanche are winning games, and they just find ways to win. Whereas the Hawks are finding ways to lose. Even if they're getting the pity point, they're still finding ways to lose. They can't get that extra point, or they just get no points at all. The game against the Wild is a perfect example. They're finding ways to lose, and the Avs are finding ways to win. Honestly, it's just two totally different teams, and they play again for the final time in Chicago. So hopefully, maybe they can get another point. Maybe they can win. I don't know. After that, the game against St. Louis on the road has been postponed. So the Hawks will actually stay at home after the Avalanche. They'll play the Canucks and then the Wild at home again before the Olympic break, which is where I assume all of these postponed games will go. Because there's this like 3 week period between games currently, between that Wild game and where we would play the Devils on the 25th of February. It's about a 3 week gap. I assume all of these rescheduled games will be played in that span since the NHL is not sending anyone to the Olympics. Honestly, the Hawks probably would have really liked that break because, man, they're not playing well. They've had a rough month. I mean, they had the 4 game win streak, but I mean, outside of that, it's been terrible. They have not been able to buy themselves a win. But yeah, hopefully the change of the month will wake them up. And thus concludes the first half of the 2021-2022 Chicago Blackhawks season. Ironically, it starts and ends in Denver. So, it begins, the second half of the season begins in Detroit. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this one. So if you liked it, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.